Deb, hope all is well. Thanks for leaving that note. Okay, hold on, guys. We're going to get started in a minute here. This is a part of our economic survival series. What we're doing is if you go to healthwealthlink.com/join and register, you will get our free economic survival guide. It consists of a weekly financial tip followed up with a video like this, where we're going to walk you through how to implement that tip. Okay. Because what we're doing here at the Soldiers of Finance channel and the Health Wealth Link is we are making sure that we all know how to better navigate this evolving economy. Okay. All right. So we're going to get this started in just a minute. We're going to let some folk come in first. And while we do that, okay, I want to just show you an article here. Most Americans are behind on retirement savings. Now, why is that? Well, part of the reason is because there's less disposable income. We're dealing with higher expenses, inflation, high gas and electric bills, high food prices as a result of high energy prices. Okay. So we've got to take command. We've got to take back our ability to pay ourselves. All right. Because there will come a time when you want to retire, right? And enjoy life and maybe help your kids and grandkids and do all sorts of other things like enjoy vacations. So, in order to make that happen, we have got to take back our control of our finances. And that's what we're going to go over here today. So, we'll give it 2 more minutes. Let everybody come in. With these, we will start promptly at 7 p.m. So, again, go to healthwealthlink.com/join, JOIN. If you haven't already gotten registered for the Economic Survival Guide, it is free. Okay. There's no cost to it at all. And we can collaborate here on Facebook and on YouTube and make sure we can navigate this economy so that we have financial success and independence. Okay. All right, we'll wait about 90 more seconds and we'll get started. Hope everybody's evening is going well. I have not had a chance to eat dinner yet, but I will after this. All right. Get started in a few seconds here, guys. Hold on one moment. All right. I'll put that up as a comment. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Now, this week there will be no worksheet with this, but next the second week of the Economic Survival Guide is out. If you've registered, you should have it. It does have a worksheet, and you'll be able to access that through Google Forms. Okay. All right. So here we go. The first tip we dropped was the zero-based overhead audit. This is designed to help you recapture some of your disposable income so that you can direct that disposable income over into savings. Okay. And when I say savings, understand that I don't mean I don't mean a traditional savings account at a bank, because the interest rates at a savings in a savings account, they are so far below the rate of inflation that you're effectively losing money. You're getting poorer by using a savings account at a bank. Okay, you can check out the interest rates for yourself. Inflation came in at 3.3% for the last report. You get nowhere near that in terms of the interest rate you get on savings at a bank. There are other ways to match your money, actually beat inflation, and we'll go over those ways as we go through this process. Okay. All right, so we're going to defend your cash flow in 2026, right? Making an economic shift here. What is the state of play of many Americans today? We're dealing with all kinds of increased expenses, as I said before, and that's creating an environment where standard budgeting really is not being as effective as it used to be, right? There are other economic pressures. Job loss is becoming more of a reality, depending on what profession you're in, okay, due to AI. And I don't put anything out here to be doom and gloom. We're putting this out here to be constructive. Yeah, there are rocks and shoals over there, there are 10-foot waves over there, but we're navigating, we're maneuvering into a better situation, okay? All right, now the utility crisis, let's just call it the energy crisis, okay? We did a live stream on this the other day where we talked about the energy crisis. And the issue is that it's driving up cost for all goods. Why is that? Well, because naturally you do need gasoline, jet fuel, diesel to bring goods to market. And the prices for those energy sources are up due to a lot of political reasons, situation in Russia, situation in the Middle East, also due to some domestic policy reasons, preference toward wind and solar, for example. And that creates a situation where there's scarcity. So it drives up the cost of fuel. And in so doing, the retailers pass that cost on to us, the shoppers. Give you a perfect example. There's a grocery store here in Maryland, in the Baltimore area, that received a $57,000 gas and electric bill for the month of January. Grocery is a 2% margin business at best. So they had to increase prices to keep the doors open. So we understand how that works, right? All right, hold on. Deb, let me know if you're still here, please, when you get a chance. I just want to make sure our comments are still working. All right, and then, of course, we're dealing with the gas and electric bills at home. So there's double pressure. We have to pay that bill. Then we have to be exposed to energy inflation out at the Walmart or at the supermarket or what have you. Okay. Gas utility bills, just gas alone, we're not even talking about electricity, have increased 45% between 2020 and 2025, far outpacing average income. Now, there's another issue with this. It's called a delivery charge. Now, every state may not have this. We have it in Maryland. So in addition to the increase on top of the cost of energy, we also have a delivery fee as well. All right, so we got to shift our mindset to this new environment. We got to create a new paradigm, right? Now, the old way of doing things is incremental budgeting. So starting with last month's spending and trying to cut from there, right? Whatever last month's spending is, let's try to cut back, right? Now, that approach assumes every previous expense was justified. And this allows what we call zombie overhead to survive every audit. So you're going to take a more assertive action we call zero-based auditing. You're going to start from $0. And every dollar that leaves your pocket or your checking account, it's got to be rejustified every month. That justification has to be based on the return on investment. That's right. Or the actual utility of the bill. And if it doesn't provide you with some sort of value that we can quantify, then it's ripe for elimination. Okay. So naturally, we're talking about mortgage, okay, necessary, car payment necessary, insurance necessary. But there are ways even to deal with those expenses and possibly lower them. We're going to talk about that. All right. The cost of inaction. Utility delinquencies in Maryland have jumped almost 10% in the last 12 months. It's because people are having trouble paying the bills. The average overdue balance here in Maryland is almost $800. The situation is so bad that our gas and electric company has stretched out the payment terms to 24 months for accounts in arrears. So in this situation with the gas and electric, it serves a very high utility, right? You get a return on investment with this because you're able to, heat your home, cool your home. That's a health issue. Homelessness is very expensive. One of the reasons why is because they don't have electricity, and so they can't store food. All right. It's paradoxical how homelessness is actually an extremely expensive proposition. That's why a lot of people find it difficult to get out of the situation. Takes them a little bit longer than you might imagine in some cases, right? So with the zero-based audit, you can stop the bleed before you're seeing situations like $800 in arrears on your gas and electric bill that's putting you in danger of getting a turnoff, for example, on this high utility, high ROI item or service. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to list every recurring expense from scratch. Every recurring expense. Now, you might say, oh man, how do I track those? Well, you're going to have to go through your bank statements and not just the last month. We recommend going through the last 3 months because you might have things on there charged quarterly, for example. All right. We also want you to do some vendor negotiation. We're going to talk about a script that we have that'll help you with that to make sure you're not paying the loyalty penalty. All right. Strategic automation. Now, what do I mean by that? You're going to use technology to prevent future cash flow leaks. And I will be very honest with you. There is a service that you can get, and you can use the free option to make sure that you strategically automate to make sure that you always keep an eye on these recurring expenses and don't lose track of them. All right. And I'll tell you what that service is in just a moment. Okay. So the $0 clean slate. Remember, we're starting from zero. So open your last 3 bank statements and you're going to go through the process of listing every single recurring debt. Right? A lot of people have their bills automated. So that's what you need to do. You need to list every recurring debt. And even if it's not automated, it'll show you paid it, of course, right? And you're going to start with the assumption that nothing is permanent. And you're going to say, well, Tyrone, you just told me my house was permanent. I really didn't say that. And if you are in a house that maybe you're finding it to be prohibitively expensive to say heat or cool, then you may want to make a decision around that, especially if you faced a situation where you've been separated from your income. Okay, so that's why we're starting from zero. That's why we're not assuming anything. We're starting from a clean slate. So again, categorize it by return on investment. Is this expense essential? Right, housing definitely is. Utilities are essential and expensive. Maybe you're going to school for something to enhance your skill set so you can make more money. Okay, that obviously has a return on investment. Depending on what you're going to school for, underwater basket weaving probably not going to kick off the ROI. You think it might? Um, Going to school to be a nurse practitioner? Yeah, that's going to be a good one that you want to definitely hold on to. Or some advanced computer training. That's another good one. Now we got to look for those unused subscriptions. Okay. I know that we all went crazy with streaming. We got a lot of those streaming services hanging out there, still making money off of us. We haven't watched it in years because we just got it to watch one particular series, right? The series ended and we forgot about it. Um, we watched that last episode and said, oh, I'll get rid of it tomorrow. And tomorrow never came. You've got different types of business applications you might have set up a recurring fee on, and you don't use that application anymore. You don't need it anymore. You need to identify it. The utility audit, your gas and electric bill. This is a big one because energy costs are going up. And again, we did that video. Go back. We did a live where we talked about the investment opportunity in energy. We lay it out for you. But when it comes to being a consumer of energy, you got to check your kilowatt hour rates versus competitive offers. Now, in the state of Maryland, they took competitive competition away. But in your state or wherever you're from, they might still have it. Okay. And if you can get a better deal, then look into it. One thing that you really want to see if you can do with utility is lock in a rate. I am convinced that utility energy expenses are they're not coming down. And I used to lock in my rate when we had a competitive carrier. I'd lock in a rate for 2 years for gas and electric. And every single time I did that for about 8 years, won every time. I had no intention of moving away from that company, but our state legislature got rid of competition in our state of Maryland. All right, identification of the loyalty penalty. What you want to do is spot services where you've been a customer for 2 or more years without a rate review. Cable TV, internet service, cell phone service. All right, those are 3 that are ripe for you getting a better deal because there's so much competition in those markets. See if we got any comments. Hold on. We do indeed. Okay. Deb did get the notification. Perfect. Deb says, my homeowner's insurance jumped $800 this year. Crazy. That is indeed crazy. And Deb, you're savvy, so I can imagine you probably looked around to see if you could get a better deal on that. I wonder what that was due to. Probably some sort of aggregate repair cost on home insurance claims, maybe. All right, so look, when you're dealing with these companies, and home insurance companies are one, okay? Now, I've had good success with doing this. What you want to do is you want to call these companies. If they've got competition, and home insurance certainly does, then you want to let them know, look, I could go over here, you can lose a customer, or you can give me a break, right? So you want to put this in your own voice, but this 15-minute, and I say it's a 15-minute script because it should take all told 15 minutes for you to be on the phone with that company, be it Verizon for your internet or AT&T for your cell phone or whomever, right? For them to act like they've got to talk to the manager and then knowing full well they're going to give you a discount to stay because it costs a lot of money to acquire you. They want to hold on to you, right? So what you want to say is some derivation of, I've been a loyal customer for X amount of years, but I'm currently conducting a zero-based audit of my overhead. I see that new customers are getting a rate of X dollars. How do you know that? Well, because they advertise what the new, you join us, you'll get this, right? While I'm paying Z dollars. I'd like to stay with you, but I need to match that rate or I have to close the account today. All right. Now, I used to do that when I had cable TV. I haven't had cable TV in 20 years. But every time I did that, and I do that every 18 to 24 months, not only would I get a break on my bill, but I would also, they throw in some like free channels or something, which was okay. But most of the time I didn't watch the free channels, but fine. Okay, good. They're working to keep me. Okay. When you have a service provider and you don't do this, what you're doing is effectively paying a loyalty penalty, and you're asking them to extend a retention promotion or bonus. Okay. Within reason, they will do what they can to prevent from losing you. Listen, if we got less disposable income, then that means fewer revenues for discretionary services like entertainment, right? All right, so we're going to go forward. But before we do, speaking of affordable entertainment, we have a sponsor. Our sponsor is a Baltimore Blasts, professional indoor soccer team that is a family-friendly, affordable sports entertainment option. Check out this ad, and if you're in the Baltimore area or you're thinking about coming down here to visit Maryland in season, check out a soccer game. We'd love to have you. I might even see you there.
If you are looking for the best indoor soccer experience, it doesn't get better than the Baltimore Blast. Right here in Towson Arena.
Okay. Free parking, by the way. When we want to give a special shout out to the Baltimore Blast for being one of our proud sponsors. Okay. All right. Back to our audit. Okay. All right. So if you look at your home, if you do what we just said with regard to the retention bonus with your home insurance company, your telecom services, and that includes whoever you, if you're doing cable TV, internet, phone, okay, these might be several different companies, but you get the picture. You clean up those subscriptions and you go through and have a real deal utility fee audit, and maybe even move to a different carrier if your state allows that, then you could be looking at bringing in or recouping $240 a month. That's pretty darn good. Okay. Now, what are you going to do with the 240? Are you going to go out and create more expenses? You can go out and say, "Oh, I've got 240, so I could put another 240 with that, get up to 500 almost, and buy a new car, a brand new car." No, no. Optimally, you're going to invest that 240. Okay. Now, we talked earlier about putting money in a savings account. There should never be, in my opinion, more than maybe a few $100 in a savings account, because it's not going to be working for you at all. You can check you can check your bank and you can see what the interest rates are. And then you compare that to the 3.3% inflation that we just experienced and see what the difference is, right? So where do you put that money? Well, there are other places. You can put it into, say, an insurance policy. Yes, an insurance policy that is building some cash value. Now, with insurance, you got to understand, you got to qualify for it, right? But if you can get qualified for it, then mechanisms like index universal life will build cash value based on the performance of, say, the S&P 500. That's one way you can do it. There are other ways. There are money market funds that you need to look around and say, you talk with your bank, your credit union, and say, "Hey, listen, I'm looking for something that I can put my money in that is going to match inflation." You can do a separate index fund that you just put money in. Now, understand, anytime you invest, there's a risk there, right? But you can invest in things that are considered extremely safe, relatively safe. The S&P 500, for example, right? Now, understand that when you invest that money separately after taxes, in most cases, you're going to be liable for taxation on that when you liquidate that money. Okay, the return and you're going to be taxed on that. Now, in the other example I gave about the insurance policy, that's tax advantaged, so the growth of that will not be taxed, and you can borrow from yourself. That's another thing you can do. Um, so we're setting up a 30-day shield here. Okay, audit and inventory every debt, which we've talked about. Execute those negotiation tactics that we talked about. Call and run that script through all of those 4 categories of companies: telecom, insurance. And when we say insurance, of course, home insurance that you may have, or renter's insurance, car insurance. Okay. Automate payment safeguards. Now, how do you do that? Well, there is a service called Rocket Money. Now, there's a free option to Rocket Money. They do have paid tiers, but you can take advantage of the free option to give you some indication of the subscription services you may have forgotten about. We did a video about Rocket Money a long time ago. It did really, really well. One of the over 100,000 view videos we have on the channel. There are other services that compete with Rocket Money. I know. And a lot of people, how could you forget what subscriptions you have? Well, look, a lot of people do. Now, if you don't need Rocket Money to keep track of those things, even better. It's not an endorsement for Rocket Money. We make no money off of them. They are not a sponsor, and they've got plenty of competitors. Okay, so you can find one that's right for you if you need it. Reinvest that reclaimed cash. Okay. Now, if you are the type of person who gets really aggressive with this type of exercise, okay, and you just say, well, you know what, I'm going to try to reclaim as much as I can because I want to get my money working a little harder for me and take back some control. Okay. So if you are able to do the 240 a month, just say, if you're able to do that, great. Some people are going to be able to do more. And if you invest that, I'm telling you right now, once that money starts to compound, you're going to be very, very happy. Okay. Is it an instant process? No. But the best time to plant a tree was 5 years ago. The second best time is right now. So you can go to healthwealthlink.com/join if you have not already. You can become a part of our free economic cash flow recoup, this whole thing that we're doing, our economic survival briefing. So we're going to have these every week. Next week, we're going to focus on the tip we just dropped today, right? And to get the tip, of course, you got to go to healthwealthlink.com/join. And let's see if there are any questions, comments, observations. LJ. Oh, LJ, yeah, it's a nice surprise to have you here. LJ, yeah, we're doing this one once a week at 7, our economic tip, okay? LJ says, my internet and home phone costs $110 a month. I have fiber optic cable, 100% reliable. Is that a lot? And that's your home phone. It depends on what kind of, if you got the top of the line speed, depends on how ubiquitous the network is out there. Like here in Maryland, oh, they lay fiber everywhere. Fiber coming out of the woodwork. So I think that we no longer have, they shut off our home phone. It was on copper. They shut that off. They're not doing that anymore. So we have our cell phones through a different company. We have our cell phones through a different company than we have our internet. And then as far as television is concerned, we have a couple of streaming services. So we pay for our internet service, we pay like $50 a month for internet. But we are on 2 different sides of the country, so there may be some variables in there. Okay. Yeah, that fiber, and we have fiber too. Very reliable, right? Very reliable. LJ, I wish I could be right there. One day I'll be right there with you and not have a cell phone. Okay. Uh, I love to go places. My wife and I go to this place called St. Michael's in Maryland. And for the longest time, you couldn't get cell phone service in St. Michael's, and it was perfect because we would just relax, right? But they have made progress. Okay. All right. So give this video a thumbs, give this live a thumbs up if you can see it. Now, Deb said earlier that when she came in on the earlier live, or somebody said that there wasn't a thumbs up. And I'm not sure if that's happening because we're simulcasting with the Health Wealth Link page on Facebook. I don't know what the deal is. So we're getting our sea legs under us, right? All right, guys. So that is all for now. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up at info@healthwealthlink.com. And we'll be happy to answer any questions you have. I will talk to you all soon.